Hello, this is Furry Murray 7, and this is a long-awaited Halo Wars video, my first video ever posting on Halo Wars. I've wanted to do a Halo Wars video for an entire year now, and I've finally gotten around to do it. And this video, when I first recorded this, and I'm extremely sorry that I don't have live commentary. That would be completely awesome if I had live commentary. I didn't add it in because I was hoping to make this video kind of a rundown on my basic play strategy of Halo Wars and some tips and tricks and things like that, which I will include some of in this video, but not very much in detail, because actually it ended up being that the person I played against accused me of being a rusher, of rushing in the game. Now, for those of you who don't know, rushing really hasn't been defined, using hardcore black and white terms by Bungie or Ensemble Studios, which was the company that made this game. And of course Bungie was still making Halo games back when this game came out, and Ensemble Studios worked with Bungie, and neither one of them actually had a hardcore definition of what a rush is. But the general consensus among the fan base is that it happens usually after the 4 or 5 minute mark. Any attack on a base after 5 minutes of the start of the game isn't technically considered a rush. I mean, it can be considered an early attack, but rush is a really it's a really specific term. Whereas any normal attack can be called just an early attack, but a rush is a very, very, very early attack. And even then, a lot of people say that if you wait until the 5 minute mark to land your first attack on your opponent's base, then it's a very late rush, because rushing, an actual rush happens a lot later in the game. And so, so this is just me playing. Now, when I played, I wasn't actually intending to rush or even attack the base at all. I'm just playing the way I always play, and that is building up. My strategy, for the most part, is counter units. I build jackals, hunters, locusts, and vampires, and that's it. Now, the reason why I like to be the Brute Chieftain rather than the other two Covenant units, Brute Chieftain is my favorite Covenant unit, mostly because he has the ability to stun, which is an amazing ability, especially against tanks. Now, if you want, I can create a later video addressing my my real the nitty-gritty of why I make each move. Because at the beginning of the game, the order in which you place your buildings is very crucial. And so I'm not just doing random things here. Everything is very planned, very specific. And so you can see that I was wondering why my opponent hadn't yet cleared all of those items yet. And so you can see me doing this. I really, really, really wish I had live commentary in this part, but so anyway, so here I am. I'm starting to make jackals. Now, the reason why I make jackals first is because my opponent is a Covenant, and really, actually, I really don't like playing against other Covenants. If I'm a Covenant, I would like my opponent to be UNSC, not really so much Covenant. Because these mirror matchup things, it usually boils down to who can produce the most jackals. I mean, it's insane. So what I'm trying to do is trying to produce more jackals than my opponent, because I was sure that my opponent was going to start producing jackals sometime soon. And even if my opponent didn't, I actually thought that there was a chance my opponent might rush me, because he didn't have a hall. In fact, he didn't have any buildings. I think he built a summit later on, but he didn't have any unit buildings. He just had a temple and warehouses. And that sets the stage for a rush. So I actually thought that there was a chance he could rush me. And so that's part of the reason I was cranking out all these jackals. And so, really, I wanted to wait until I got some of his shield down before I released the jackals, because I wanted to get down as much of his health as possible before he kites me and teleports away. And so, as you can see, I got him really down close. Now look at how quickly his shield bar is dropping just by bringing in just five jackals. Just 5 jackals was all it took. I mean, when I first spawned in, I only had 4 jackals, and the 5th one spawned just as he was starting to teleport away. But, you know, all it takes is just 3 or 4 jackals to really bring down the Prophet of Regret shield. People who love the Prophet of Regret mostly love it for the wrong reasons. I mean, the shield really isn't that sturdy at all. Now, the reason why I'm running up to his base right now is because I was afraid he was going to kite me by, you know, just attacking me and then running away and then healing up his shield. So I wanted to draw him to me as much as possible. So I'm basically just using my Brute Chieftain as bait right here. I'm using him as bait to make it look like the Chieftain is only one at his base, so that he can bring his, you know, his Prophet out, and then I can hopefully kill him with the jackals. And then after that, I was probably just going to I wasn't actually planning on attacking his base that early, but since he attacked me and then ran away, I had to assume that he was going to start kiting, which is, you know, pretty annoying, but it's easy to counteract if you know what to do. And so that's what a lot of reasons why people like using the Prophet. They like to kite. They like to build a temple and nothing but warehouses, and then attack you, kill your units, and then run away when his shield gets low. And so the way to combat that is to kill him as quickly as you can, and try to kill him next to his base. That way he can't teleport away. He'll have to just run away. And now the reason why I'm making the reason why I'm making the reason why I'm making grunts and upgrading the grunts is because he has aircraft, and aircraft has a natural weakness to infantry, and so the best infantry I can use against aircraft is the grunt squads, which I never actually make grunt squads. I hate grunt squads. Because they're not specialized like the jackals and the hunters are. But you know, I had actually had no intention of rushing. Otherwise, I wouldn't have made jackals. You know, you don't make jackals when you rush a base. You make brutes and grunts. So. Just throwing that out there. And actually, if you look and compare the video times with the times, the YouTube video that you're watching right now, compare the time in the YouTube video to the time in the game, when the game time pops up a couple of times when I press the select button. You can compare that, and you can see that I actually didn't lay the first attack on his base. I didn't damage his base for the first time until a little after the 5-minute mark. And so technically it's not rushing. Now I'm moving the jackals out of the way because I can see that his hall is lit up like the 4th of July. So I know he's making another another profit. Now, when he makes the profit, I'm going to have to assume that he's a fairly competent player. So he's going to try to kill the jackals first, because the jackals are the ones that can do the most damage to him. The profit is an infantry unit, and the jackals kill infantry the best. And so, as you can see, he comes in. He should be able to see where the jackals are because they're clearly lit up by the shields. And he's actually not killing the jackals very much at all. He's trying to kill the brutes, which is useless because the brutes, not only do brutes have terrible accuracy, I mean, they almost never hit their target, but they do very, very little damage to infantry. And so he wasted his, he got down quite a bit of my army before he died, but he could have gotten a lot more if he had just killed the jackals first. Got as close to the jackals as he could, and then maybe not as close as he could, as close as he could get, as far away as he could get, and still hit them with his cleansing beam. So he didn't kill my jackals. If he killed the jackals first and then took care of the other, perhaps the brutes, perhaps the grunt squads instead of the brutes. If he killed in that order jackals and then grunt squads, he probably could have killed a lot more of my units, and maybe have killed them all, except maybe for the Brute Chieftain. It's doubtful that he would have been able to kill all of my units just with the Prophet. But, he missed his opportunity to kill the Jackals. He was so concentrated on the Brutes, because he thought that the Brutes were the biggest threats to his Prophet, and they weren't. The Brutes have extremely bad aim. That's why I almost never make Brutes. Even when I attack a base, I don't use Brutes. Because the aim, I mean, yeah, they do a lot of damage if they can hit their target. But the aim is just so bad, it's not even worth the 150 supplies and the 30 seconds that it takes to create a Brute. Because Brutes take so long to make that they take longer than a lot of other units. And so, I mean, Brutes take about as long as it takes to make a vehicle. So, yeah. And so you got him accusing me of Russia. Now, I don't know what that first word was. It kind of caught me off guard. He said profi. That caught me off guard. I didn't actually know what that means. I've never heard of that before. I don't know what profi means. But ha ha ha, you're a Rusher kid. So, yeah. And if you check, you can verify the video times. I did not lay the first bit of damage onto his base until a little after the 5-minute mark, and which according to most people does not really qualify as a rush. It's an early attack, but not all early attacks are rushes. And I mean, I may have attacked him before he was prepared to adequately defend his base. But just because you're not able or not ready to defend your base at the moment, that doesn't mean that it's a rush if I attack you. That's not enough to make it a rush. Rushing is time into the game, amount of time into the game. It has nothing to do with you, really. It has nothing to do with how prepared you are, or how much you've done, or how much you've upgraded your units. It all has to do with amount of time into the game. Now, I have seen rushes start about like 30 seconds. What's the earliest rush I've seen? 45? It was about a minute into the game. Somebody warthog rushed me. Rushes is a very, very early attack. And most people consider it, if you wait until the 4-minute mark in order to attack, then you're really, really late if you're trying to rush. If it is considered a rush, then it's really late. And for the most part, the 5-minute mark. I mean, 5 minutes, when you think about it, 5 minutes is actually quite a bit of time. it takes about 30 seconds to build one base. So, I mean, no, it takes about 30 seconds to build one building. To make one building is 30 seconds. So, in 5 minutes, you can make 10 buildings. Well, your base only has a maximum capacity of 7 buildings. So, you can if you're, for example, if you're Captain Cutter, you can build all 7 buildings. You can build something on all 7 buildings, and build units, and still be within the 5-minute mark. So, this idea that, 5 minutes is anything after 5 minutes is a rush is completely ridiculous. I know that some of you out there may disagree with me, but they're pretty much a general consensus in the community. I mean, most people do consider a 10 or 15-minute game to be short. But it's not a rush. Just because you attack a base, 10 minutes. I mean, 10 minutes is a long time. I mean. Now, in this exchange between me and him, I actually thought I attacked closer to the 8 or 9 minute mark, when actually it was closer to the 5-minute mark, but it was still over 5 minutes. And so, this is a good 1v1 game is not to end in 15 minutes. Well, that's debatable. I mean, how long is a good 1v1 game? How long is it? If it's not 15 minutes, then what is it? He doesn't really say. Your rush. Now, I actually was kind of taken aback by his grammar. So I did go on his profile, and I found out that he's from Germany. So, English is not his first language. So I actually have sympathy for people who are trying to communicate in English where English is not their first language. I do not berate those people on their English grammar, because I realize that the internet is all over the world. I want to say, it happens a lot on YouTube. People berate people for their bad English, and so I go on that person's YouTube channel and find out that person was born in, France, and or China, and I wanna grab that person and shake him and say, what part of the internet is all over the world don't you understand? English is not everyone's first language. Just because it's your first language doesn't mean that it's everyone's first language, and you can't berate people for having bad grammar if English is not their first language. I'm pretty sure if you had to learn a language that wasn't your first, you might not have perfect grammar either. I don't berate people for bad grammar if they are not from the United States. Now, the other thing about his point of a good 1v1 game is not to end in 15 minutes. In some ways I can agree with that, but the thing is that this game was a Covey versus Covey. Covenant versus Covenant. And with those games, if you don't play a lot of those types of games online, and I'm not talking about against the computer, the skirmish match. I'm talking about multiplayer matches where it's a human versus a human. It's two humans playing against each other. Usually, those matches, as I said earlier, those matches end up being usually just a race to see who can create the most jackals. I mean, it gets the point. It's in my opinion, it's usually not even really worth playing, because at the beginning of the game, after you build your temple, you can build a hall, a vehicle depot, not a vehicle depot. What's that thing called? Sentry. I forgot what the Covenant version of Vehicle Depot was, but you can build a hall, a summit, and factory. I think it's called a factory. And so those are the 3 buildings you can build. But you are kind of limited on the kind of units you can create in those buildings. And so you know, with the factory, you can only build wraiths and ghosts, and that's it. And wraiths really aren't that good. I mean, they look cool because they're giant, but they're terrible. They're terrible. When you compare, if you were to compare a wraith and a scorpion, the scorpion is way better by a long shot. I mean, it's not even funny how bad the wraiths are. They move kind of I mean, their movement speed is a little bit faster than scorpions, but the other thing is about them, they have to be facing in the direction of their target, and scorpions don't really have to do that. They just have a turret. So scorpions can kite enemies, and wraiths can't. Wraiths have to be facing the direction of their target. They can shoot where they're moving, but they still have to be facing in the direction of the target. So it's kind of difficult for them to kite. And I mean, at least not as well as the scorpions can. And so, but the thing about wraiths is they're terrible, especially against, especially if they're going against hunters. And with the summit, that's even worse. Banshees are absolutely awful. They have very low HP. Banshees, for me, the only time I would ever make a Banshee is if I'm using it to scout. Banshees are great scouters. I mean, they move very quickly. They can fly over terrain, so they're not hindered by terrain. And they're very good at scouting. If your opponent has turrets, has more than 2 turrets, your Banshee's more than likely going to die. Your Banshee's not going to be able to make it back to your base after scouting your opponent's entire base. But it only costs 200, so they're pretty cheap. They're cheaper than Hornets. They're cheaper than the Hornets, and they can move very fast, and they're not hindered by terrain, so it's pretty cool. But for a summit, you can't really build any attacking units either other than a vampire. And the vampire is off limits until you get to tech level 2. And with the vehicle building, the factory, wraiths are okay, but they're not very good. Locusts are great, but you can't build locusts until tech level 2. The thing about summits with the banshees are very, very weak to infantry. They can't do any damage to infantry, and they also have very low HP, very low hit points. So infantry can kill banshees pretty easily, as you saw in the video. So basically, the only good building you can build as a covey is a hall. At least in the beginning of the game, the only good building you can build is a hall. I mean, other than that, I mean that's why I do that strategy: build a hall and build just jackals and maybe hunters if your opponent's building vehicles, and that's pretty much all you need, really. And so that's why and most people who play as Covenant understand that. They understand that the hall is pretty much the only, the good building you can build at the start of the game because it has the most number of counter units, and it has 2 counter units all in one building. The other buildings only have 1 counter unit. And the vehicle depot, the Locust really technically isn't a counter unit. I mean it's a building killer, but it's not used to counter another unit. It's just used to kill buildings. Try to use a Locust to kill another unit, it's a snooze fest. It takes so long for them to kill another unit because they do almost no damage to other units. And of course the Scarab, you can't build it until tech level 3, and you need 3,000 supplies, and you need a population of 20. So, Scarabs are really not an option. I mean, basically, I think it takes a minimum of 15 minutes, I think, to build a scarab. 15 or so minutes. And that's if you just start with a temple, build as many warehouses as you can, and don't spend your money on anything else, and just build a scarab as fast as possible. So, now when I responded to him, I said, I hate rushers. Rushing, I actually don't hate rushers. Rushing is actually pretty simple, and we can touch on that later. But he says, you build Groots, grunts, and not one panzer. One of the things he accuses me of is not having a panzer. That's one of the things he accuses me of. You didn't have a panzer. That means you rushed. Now, when I first read that, I'm like, oh my, what the heck? What the heck is a panzer? And then I remembered, oh yeah, he's from Germany. Yeah, the Nazis used panzers in all the video games. Yeah, those of you who play the original Call of Duty games have heard the word panzer. Call of Duty 1, 2, and 3. Yeah, panzers. They were the word panzer was mostly just used on the German side. Those were the tanks, I believe. Those were the tanks. Panzers were the tanks. And so, yeah. UNSC doesn't have... UNSC has tanks. The Scorpion tank. The Wolverine tank. Those things, I guess, could be called panzers. They're not panzers, but... but I guess they could be called panzers, I suppose. But there's really nothing on the Covenant side that even close to what a panzer actually looks like. I mean, the Wraith functions kind of like that, but it's absolutely nothing like a German panzer. But I didn't hold that really against him very much. But I told him that just because you weren't ready for me to attack, that doesn't make it a rush. Some people, if you attack them before they're ready, they feel like they've been rushed. Rushing really has nothing to do with how you feel. It really doesn't. I mean, as you could feel like you've been rushed. That's perfectly fine. But to actually call it a rush, you have to look at the specifics. You have to look at what actually happened, rather than just how you feel. Well, I wasn't ready, so I feel like I've been rushed. Well, rush, anything after the 5 minute, any attack that occurs after the 5 minute mark technically is not a rush. You may feel like you've been rushed, but your feelings have nothing to do with it. And so, the other thing is, people don't want you to attack them until they're ready. Well, first of all, that's everyone, right? Nobody really wants you to attack them, all right? Because you want to win the game, right? So if you want to win the game, that means I can't really attack you at all in the game. I just have to sit there and just let you win the game. Yeah, everybody wants you to not attack them. So if I attack you at a time when you don't want me to attack you, yeah, has really nothing to do with rush. If I attack you before you're ready, this is another issue that people bring up about rushing. Well, I don't want you to attack me before I'm ready or before I'm able to defend my base. Well, define ready. I mean, how long does it take for you to become ready? For you to become able to defend your base? How long? 10 minutes? 15 minutes? 20 minutes? I mean, how long do I have to sit here before I'm able to attack you? I mean, and really the answer to that question is, well, however long it takes. I mean, if you, and it's obvious this guy is not a very competent player. I mean, he made a lot of mistakes in this video that he shouldn't have, not in this video, in this game. He made a lot of mistakes. Of course, one of the biggest mistakes was, not attacking my jackals first when he made his second prophet. He made his second prophet. That was his chance. Attack my jackals first. Another thing that he should have done, when I moved my jackals around to the back of the base, he could have he could have built a turret over there. He wasted his money building aircraft when aircraft is absolutely, completely inefficient against infantry. So if he wanted to defend his base against me, he should have destroyed his summit and built a hall. Or built a... He could have tried building a vehicle depot. I'm sorry I keep calling it a vehicle depot. I know that's not the name of it. It's not the name of the building, but I can't remember the name. I think it's factory. I could be wrong, but I'm just gonna use the word vehicle depot. He could have built a vehicle depot and made wraiths, and I could have killed his wraiths, with hunters, but at least wraiths have a better chance at killing my units than banshees. That's the worst. That's one of the worst things you can build to try to kill me is banshees. I mean, maybe ghosts. Maybe ghosts would be worse than banshees. But other than that, I mean, there's no way you can defeat a whole squad of infantry with banshees. It's impossible. And so I'm going to assume that this guy is not a very competent player at all. So it's really not my fault. I mean, if he had done, all the things that he was supposed to do, this game could have ended a lot differently. Yeah, I'm not saying he would have won, but he would have had a better chance. The other thing is he made it seem like he was kiting. Now, I don't know if he was actually trying to kite me. He might have, but I know that even people who hate rushers usually don't like kiters. People who choose the Prophet of Regret and just kite the entire game. Just build nothing but temple and warehouses, and just only use their Prophet and nothing else. And then maybe build some engineers, which looked like he was doing. He had a Prophet, he had a summit. So it looked like what he was going to do was just use his Prophet and engineers and nothing else. And so... which most people regard as kind of like a cheap trick. I mean, it's easy. It's easy to combat that tactic if you know what you're doing. I know what I'm doing in this game. So, if he was as competent or more of a competent player, I'm not saying I'm the most competent players in this game. I mean, there's people who play Halo Wars that are a lot more competent than I. But if he was at that level, he would have seen that I was building a hall. And then he wouldn't have built a summit. He would have seen that, he would have known that banshees are completely ineffective against infantry. He would have known that my jackals are the greatest threat to his Prophet instead of the brutes. He would have known all of those things. It's not my fault. I know some of you think that I'm probably being kind of a jerk, but it's not my fault that he's not competent enough to know these things. It's not my fault that he doesn't know these things. And the fact that he doesn't know these things, and look at his rank. I mean, his rank was, he wasn't a noob, he wasn't a recruit rank, he was a general rank. I mean, his rank is high enough that, we kind of expect him to know these things. No, he wasn't general. I think he was the same rank as me. Or no, he was 3-star, I think. 3-star, yeah. But anyway, even with 3 stars, his rank is high enough that he should be kind of competent. I mean, 3 stars is about halfway. So he should be fairly competent, but yeah. But the fact that he wasn't, it's not my fault. But anyway, so I'm going to leave it at that. Make of it what you will. Thank you very much for watching. I really doubt that I'll get very many views on this video, but I really wanted to make a Halo Wars video, and I thought this little thing was interesting and allowed me to give my thoughts on rushing and things like that. So, thank you very much for watching. Make sure you watch my other videos. I will make some Halo Wars videos in the future, because I know I'm not going to get very many views on them, but I want to do them anyway, because I've been wanting to do them for a whole year, and I have some really good thoughts and things that I've never seen in other YouTube videos. So I decided, well, I'm just going to make a YouTube video on it. You know, things that I've never seen in other videos. So I will make some Halo Wars videos in the future, and I'm going to be running a sweepstakes, and when the sweepstakes is running, it's going to be in the little corner, in the bottom corner. So you can win a whole bunch of free stuff. So thank you very much for watching, and make sure that you please, pretty please with sugar on top, like and subscribe.